Hi, you guys. Welcome to my Sunday revival. It's your girl, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy. And today we are talking about the Christian God is evil. Why did he betray Job over a bet? We're going to get into it. Hey, Demetria girl. And yeah, I'm going to play the intro and let's begin.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Happy Sunday. Welcome to my channel, Black Fairy Tingz, where we deconstruct, we become our best selves, and all that great stuff. So, I'm going to wait a little bit, see who else comes in. I usually have like the 10-minute timer that like gives people time to come in, but I was just ready today. Demetria, how are you? I know I feel like I've been talking to you all day regardless, because like we be sending each other reels all the time in our little messaging back and forth. But things are good. So are you ready for the topic today? The topic that was chosen was, why did he betray Job over a bet? This story, I always thought it was kind of effed up, even when I was a Christian, because I didn't really understand what was the purpose of it all. Even when I was rereading the story, I had a recollection of a childhood memory, because I grew up, when I say this all the time, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So Seventh-day Adventists, they observe the Sabbath. And so from Friday night to Saturday night, you can't watch TV or anything like that. You're not supposed to, right? You're not supposed to do any worldly things, similar to how, the Jews celebrate Sabbath. Similar, not the same at all. But, not doing any worldly things, not working, all that stuff. So from Friday night, we would like watch movies, but they were all like biblical movies, inspiring biblical tales, the Moses. But we also had this like Hanna-Barbera and some other videos. I don't think the Job story was a Hanna-Barbera story. I remember the Hanna-Barbera stories, there were these 3 kids, and they traveled to like biblical times and things like that. I remember those videos, but I say that to say, like, I remember watching the Job story, which I'd watched several times, and I always thought it was fucking. I remember when like God finally like snaps on him, when he finally gets the courage to be like, what the F is going on? And he's throwing him around and like getting mad. I was always just like, well, that's like a lot, considering that, you put him in this situation. And I think the moral story of the moral of that story was really to fear God no matter what. Like, never curse his name, even though Job didn't. He had to go through months of suffering. But we're going to get into it. Let's see. I'm going to add to the stage. So I already have up Job chapter 1. I am using a new, like, I found the website version of the app that I have in my phone for the Bible. And I'm hoping that this works a little bit better for us. I do want to zoom in a bit more. One moment. more. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that's a bit better. So Job actually has like 40 something chapters. I'm not going to go into greater detail. I probably will go into great detail in my actual Bible studies, which is on Patreon. You can join today. It is live and set in motion. For the lowest tier, tier 1, which will allow you to see the replays of the Bible deconstruction videos. I just did Genesis 1 through 5, and then we're going to go into the story of Noah this week, which is going to be like 6 through 10. I'm not too sure. I'll have to double check on that. But if you want, the lowest tier has access to that. It also has a 7-day free trial for tier 1. So I posted the first Bible deconstruction video yesterday. So if you join today, you can still go into it. And I made some discoveries in Genesis. I feel like every time I've never read the book all the way through from chapter to chapter. You know, I read the creation story, which for me always read chapter 2 because that's where like Adam and Eve were. But if you read chapter 1, it's quite interesting in Genesis how it's another creation story. Like it's a creation story separate of the second one. Like in the first chapter, God creates mankind. And the second chapter, he creates man and woman. And mankind is like plural, like people. I don't know. It was an observation I made. But if you want to know more about that, absolutely join my Patreon. So we're going to go into Job 1. And I already went through it and skipped out the parts that I want. A lot of the chapters were really just Job going back and forth with his friends, right? Like, why was this happening to them? How could this is possible? What did you do, Job? What did you do? For trying to find the reason so that he may repent, not knowing that this God, he had absolutely nothing to repent for. This God turned his back on him in order to pretty much place a bet with the Christian God. So let me get into it. Job 1, right? And I'm using the, I wanted to show what I was using, but the NASB, and it just reads better. So let's get into it. Job 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless, upright, fearing God, and turning away from evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. His possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and very many servants. And that man was the greatest of all the men of the East. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day. And they would send word and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When the days of feasting had completed their cycle, Job would send word to them and consecrate them, getting up early in the morning and offering burnt offerings according to the number of all of them. For Job said, "Perhaps my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did so continuously. So look at Job, devout servant, looking out for his family. He has all these amazing blessings from God because he constantly praises God, constantly offers him offerings, not just on the behalf of himself, but on the behalf of his children, right? He wanted to make sure that his children were not, hurt by God or punished by God, for they may have sinned, right? They had parties and things like that. Who knows what happened or what had happened? And because he had not known, he had no knowledge of what really truly went on, in good faith, every day, he would come in the morning and burn offerings for all of them, right? Just to make sure. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. I thought this was weird. because I'm pretty sure that when the devil was cast out, that he was supposed to never be able to return. But here he is popping up with the other sons of God, right? Because he is a child of God. He was a creator. And I have here, and if you see the orange is always, the orange highlight means that I found something that was like hypocritical or a lie or that didn't showcase the God that we've seen. The pink is just to remind me of something that I want to talk about. So here we have the Lord said to Satan, from where do you come from? From where do you come? Satan answered the Lord and said, from roaming about on the earth and walking around it. Again, I thought God was omnipresent. Does he just say these things to is it, you know what I mean? Because he thinks that we won't, you know what I mean? He just asks to ask, he already knows the answer. And Satan, knowing that who God is, being one of his closest angels, his most beloved angels, that turned against him, by the way, he had to tell him where he was coming from. God knew where you were coming from. What's up with that, right? Anyways, I'm not going to stick too much on that. So the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? For there is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man, fearing God and turning away from evil. Then Satan answered the Lord, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a fence around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But reach out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will certainly curse you to your face. Then the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not reach out and put your hand on him. So Satan departed from the presence of the Lord. So why did it's not even like Satan brought him up. The Lord brought him up. He asked Satan, what have you been up to? Popped up at the heavenly cookout, right? That's exactly. Popped up at the heavenly cookout amongst all the sons. Apparently, after taking a third of his children along with him down to the earth because they rebelled against him. That's bold. And God didn't even have anything to say about it. God was just like, oh, you here? Where you been at? How you been doing? Satan told the Lord what to do. Exactly. That's what yes. So Satan's telling him what to do. He's like, so God is like, have you considered him? You've been roaming the world a little bit. Have you seen him? Look at this man. He's perfect. He's a beautiful example of what can happen if you love me in the way that you should and do all that. And so Satan was like, well, of course he loves you. You give him everything. Why would he hate you? Of course he loves you. You know what I mean? Of course he is. You're turning away. And exactly, the Lord was like, bet. He was like, bet. I bet you. I'm going to give you permission to go down there and ruin his life, but don't take his life. Don't do that, though. Don't take his life now, right? So then it continues on. And that's another thing, too, because it's if God, again, this omnipresent, all-knowing God is here, and Satan's like, well, certainly, I would have been like, bitch, do you know who I am? I'm God. I know from the past I know exactly what he would do. He would never curse me. Come away with me from this. Go get your burger and leave. You're not even supposed to be in heaven. But here God is taking up the challenge as if he doesn't already know what the outcome would be. Again, it's just hypocrisy at its finest. And it's a contradiction to who God is said to be. So Satan allowed to test Job. We're going to get on in it, right? So now on the day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the female donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabines attacked and took them. They also killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 units and made a raid on the camels and took them, and killed the servants with the edge of the swords, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another also came and said, "Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job got up, tore his robe, shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's room, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." What? You know how many times I was reading this and I was like, Job, stand up. Stand up, Job. And the thing is, it's like the collateral damage at that. Because Job didn't just lose his sheep and his cattle. His servants passed away. These servants probably had family members. God was like, F that, take their lives. Those servants probably had children and wives of their own or husbands of their own, now losing their life just so God can prove a point to Satan. Is this the God of love? Is this not evil? Right? Job's kids were chopped liver. Nobody mentions them. They just get replaced. Absolutely. And you see that here, but we're going to get to that too. But I just want to go into the fact that also his children were grown. So they probably had families. And yes, they would gather together and drink and eat. But it's likely that if they were in their own homes, that they were all adult ages. So these kids weren't really just, it's like they were Job's children, but they weren't little children. They likely had their own family. They likely had their own servants and things like that. Then it's amazing to me how what about Job's wife? Like, God didn't care about her at all? I mean, yes, maybe she didn't do the offerings. It was Job doing all the work with the offerings and things like that. But to think, even now, having my one child, to have gone through that 10 times, giving birth to 7 sons and 3 daughters, you're taking your life into your own, you're taking your life out, you're putting your life at risk when you get pregnant. And back in these days, they didn't have the health care. Okay. And according to this Bible, the God had well cursed them with harsh labor pain. Right? So she had gone through that 10 times, maybe more. We don't know if she had lost, miscarriage, or anything like that. But because God wanted to prove a point to Satan, he allowed all this calamity, all this collateral damage to happen just for the sake of showing Satan that Job would not bend. I don't know, y'all. It's giving sick fuck. He's a sick fuck. Okay? Plot twist, Job knew he wasn't even going to heaven. He was going back to mother's room, but he's praying for the Lord for some reason. I actually, when I read that just now, it clicked to me and I was like, yo, wait, what did he say? Naked I came from my mother's womb. Oh, let's go here. Hold on. And naked I shall return there. Yeah, you're right. Like that's an odd thing to say because we don't go back to our mother's rooms. Even now, to say that was something. How would he say that? But despite all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. So then everything was taken from him. And he did not curse God, just like God had predicted, right? Predicted. Womb means earth. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And let's see how he loses his house. So he lost everything else and he didn't curse God. So again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. So he came back again. So he can just come in and out of heaven whenever he wants after what he supposedly did? That's crazy. I could have sworn he was told never to come back. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Again, you didn't know? He has to be being facetious. He has to be. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From roaming about on the earth and walking around on it." The Lord said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Why are you asking him again? He clearly did. "For there is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man, fearing God and turning away from evil. And he still holds firm to his integrity. Although you incited me against him to ruin him without cause." So God even admits, like, he literally, like, see, you enticed me. So God can be enticed by Satan too. I mean, Satan's giving Billy Badass. Like, Satan is giving who runs the world? Lucifer. Like, he can incite God on a perfectly humble, loving, God-fearing human being, and God is gonna be like, bet. Like what Power Kismet said. Bet. Right? It is a bad plagiarism, you're right. So and the thing is, he admits, and that's the thing, I thought it was Satan that went down and like ruined everything. But here God admits that, like, you incited me against him to ruin him without cause. So it's God that did the ruining. It wasn't even Satan who did that. Satan probably just gave him the tools. Satan probably was like, take away his cattle, take away his servants, take away everything. He couldn't just let the servants quit though, right? Like, that wasn't an option. This all-powerful God had to go on a murderous rampage, right? People's children, people, and because servants, I'm sure they were somebody's child, right? People's, like, children. He had no wherewithal. He didn't care about the collateral damage. So he said, so Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin. Yes, all that a man has he will give for his life. However, reach out with your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh. He will curse you to your face." So the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, he is in your power. Only spare his life." Listen, there are worse things than death, yeah? Have you heard that before? There are worse things than death. Like, there was a lady, I live not too far from an old folks home, and the building maybe has about, I think, it could be anywhere from 13, no, it can't be 13. Like, I think maybe about 15 floors. And there is a woman who unalived herself because she was in so much pain. I remember I walked my dog by there every day, and this was just a few months ago, and I was walking by, and there was ambulance, there was tape, there was everything, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? And because some of the old people that have dogs and their dogs interact with my dog, we've become acquaintances. And they told me what happened. And apparently this woman had been suffering. I don't know if she had cancer or anything like that, but it was some disease. And she was on even the waiting list. Like in Canada, you can get assisted unaliving, where they will assist you in passing over, which is sad because I just feel like this is another conversation. But anyways, it's sad. Anyways, she ended up throwing herself out of her window. Yeah, because the pain was so great and the list was just too long that she decided that she was going to take her own life. Right? Lord always asks rhetorical questions, never knows the answer. So true. No 2 weeks notice of resignation. Nothing. No 2 weeks notice. They could have just left and he would have been desolate. What am I going to do? I have no servants. How am I going to care for all these animals? No. He's just like, let me just axe them out. Right? Like, let me just take these people out too. So now he tells him to reach over his hand and touch his bone and his flesh, because he thinks, like, well, he'll surely curse you then. And again, this is an all-loving God, an all-knowing God. And when I talk to Christians about this and the morality of this, they make a lot of excuses for this God. And my thing is always like, how is my morality better than an all-knowing, all-powerful, apparently all-loving God? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But I digress. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with severe boils and from the sole of his foot to the top of his head. And Job took a piece of pottery to scrape himself while he was sitting in the ashes. I could not, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, you have boils. It's so cruel. Like, it's so cruel and mean. He did nothing to deserve this. And you hear the Lord say that. He's done nothing to deserve this. Even after I've murdered everyone he pretty much knows and associates himself with on a daily basis, taken away all his children that he raised and loved and prayed over and gave burnt offerings to me. But, you know, that's not enough to show Satan what kind of human he is. I'm gonna allow Satan to cover him in boils and to put him through so much pain. So then his wife said to him, do you still hold firm in your integrity? Curse God and die. Like, bro, get over it. Like, she said, bro, like, this is not worth it. Just curse God and die. But he said to her, you are speaking as one of the foolish women, as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we actually accept good from God, but not accept adversity? Despite all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard about all this adversity that had come upon him, they came, each one from his own place: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shushite, and Zophar the Naamathite. And they made an appointment together to come to sympathize with him and comfort him. When they looked from a distance and did not recognize him, they raised their voices and wept. So he looked so bad that his friends couldn't even contain themselves. They had to weep at looking at who he was. He was so unrecognizable, covered in boils. And each of them tore his robe and threw dust over their heads towards the sky. Then they sat down on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights, with no one speaking a word to him, for they saw that his pain was great. And that's just the 2 chapters. So he's completely, Lord basically said, have it your way, Satan, but it must be made conscious. It hears just Job. The Lord always trying and tribulating for kicks just to get ego stroked by Satan. The Lord wanted validation from Satan. That's crazy to me, because that's exactly what it's giving. That is exactly what it's giving. So, Job 3, chapter 3, Job's lament. So afterward, Job opened his mouth and cursed the days of his birth. So before he even curses God, he's cursing himself like, I cursed the day I was born. He's really getting down on himself. And Job said, may the day on which I was born was blah, blah, blah. May the day on which I was to be born perish, as well as the night which said, a boy is conceived. May that day be darkness. May God above not care for it, nor light shine on it. May darkness and black gloom claim it. May a cloud settle on it. May the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, may darkness seize it. May it not rejoice among the days of the year. May it not come to the number of months. Behold, may that night be barren. May no joyful shout enter it. May those curse it who curse the day, who are prepared to disturb Leviathan. Aren't the Leviathan, I have to go into like what the biblical version of Leviathan is, because the Leviathan that I know is that mystical creature, right? And I know that the Bible also talks about the Nephilim and things like that. And I had no idea that all these mythical creatures were in the Bible, y'all. I did not, until I started reading it. Like the Nephilim were was in Genesis, I'm pretty sure. And now the Leviathan. Like, I only have comic book, like, Marvel ideas on Leviathan, but I would like to know the biblical context of Leviathan. Anyways, may the stars of its twilight be darkened, may it wait for light but have none, and may it not see the breaking dawn, because it did not shut the opening of my mother's womb, or hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth, come out of the womb and pass away? Why were there knees in front of me, and why the breasts that I would nurse? For now I would have lain down and been quiet, I would have slept then, I would have been at rest, with kings and counselors of the earth who rebuilt ruins for themselves, or with rulers who had gold, who were filling their houses with silver, or like a miscarriage which is hidden. I would not exist. As infants that never saw light, there the wicked ceased from raging, and there the weary are at rest. The prisoners are at ease together. They do not hear the voice of the taskmaster. The small and the great are here, and the slave is free from his master. Oh, I thought slavery wasn't a thing. I thought God didn't like slavery. But here it is again. Interesting. Why is light given to one burdened with grief, and life to the bitter of soul, who long for death, but there is none, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures, who are filled with jubilation and rejoice when they find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, and whom God has shut off? For my groaning comes at the sight of my food, and my cries pour out like water. For what I fear comes upon me, and what I dread encounters me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet, and I am not at rest, but turmoil comes. Still hasn't cursed him. Right? So his friend comes, and Eliphaz, and he's pretty much telling, and again, because there's like 40-something chapters, I'm not going to read all of them, especially because a lot of it is really just back and forth with his friends about why this is happening to him. This happens over months, okay? God didn't make him suffer weeks. He made him suffer months in this way, waiting to see if he would finally curse him. I mean, for me, if someone was covered from boils from head to toe, I'm thinking like, I'll give her like 72 hours, you know? If I were to do a bet, like, as cool as that. I couldn't imagine making him go through months just waiting and seeing, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Right? So Eliphaz says that the innocent do not suffer, pretty much implicating that Job, like, your words have helped the stumbling to stand, and you have strengthened feeble knees, but now it comes to you and you are impatient. It touches you and you are horrified. Pretty much telling him, like, bro, like, you've been living a good life this whole time, and now you have a hard time and you want to give up. They're not even really, like, you know what I mean? And I understand, because in their minds, he must have done something wrong. Why would God, after blessing him thousandfold, over thousands of fold, now turn his eye from you, turn his heart from you, turn his love from you? Right? So I understand their perspective of being like, yo, motherfucker, what did you do? What did you do? You must have done something. The innocent do not suffer. You said the Leviathan is a dragon. Dragon is the twist of the ancient serpent goddesses and cultures that worship serpent goddesses, which goes back further to the cosmic egg and the divine womb mother energy. Very interesting. Dimitri, you said Book of Enoch? Bet. So again, he's like, remember now, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the upright destroyed? According to what I've seen, those who plow wrongdoing and those who show trouble harvest it. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his anger they come to an end. Right? So he's basically much saying, like, if you were innocent as much as you're saying, you wouldn't be facing all this, right? You wouldn't have to go through all this, because God doesn't do this to the innocent. Little do they know, God absolutely does. He absolutely does. Right? Can mankind be righteous before God? Can a man be pure before his maker? He puts no trust even in his servants, and he accuses his angels of error. How much more those whose lives in houses of clay, whose foundations in dust, who were crushed before the moth? right? So he's pretty much just going, is their tent cord not pulled out within them? They die, yet without wisdom. So he's basically, again, I'm pretty much, 5. Right, I just read 4. That's right. Yes. The innocent do not suffer. So 5 goes into God is just, right? And I didn't make any notes because it just goes into it, but I will read some of it because it's going into how this God is just. Call now. Is there anyone who will answer you? And to which the holy ones will you turn? For irritation kills the fool, and jealousy brings death to the simple. I have seen the fool taking root, and I cursed his home immediately. His sons are far from safety. They are also oppressed at the gate, and there is no one to save them. The hunger devours hardest, and it takes place of thorns, and the schemer is eager for their wealth. For disaster does not come to the dust, nor does trouble sprout from the ground. For man is born for trouble, as sparks fly upward. But as for me, I would seek God, and I would make my plea before God. Who does great and unsearchable things? Wonders without number. He gives rain on the earth, and he sends water on the field, so that he sets on high those who are lowly, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He frustrates the schemes of the shrewd, so that their hands cannot attain success. He captures the wise by their own cleverness, and advice of the cunning is quickly thwarted. By day they meet with darkness, and grope at noon as in the night. But he saves from the sword of their mouth, and the poor from their hand of the strong. So the helpless has hope, and the injustice has shut its mouth. Behold, happy is the person whom God disciplines. So do not reject the discipline of the Almighty, for he inflicts pain, and he gives relief. So here, there's this admittance. It's so funny how I'm seeing it now. But so here he inflicts pain and gives relief. So I don't understand how people don't see this God as an abuser, right? He wounds, but his hands also heal. It's giving like that battered wife syndrome vibe that he wants to have, right? In 6 troubles, he will save you. Even in 7, evil will not touch you. In famine, he will redeem you from death. And in war, from the power of the sword, you will be hidden from the scourge of the tongue, and you will not be afraid of violence when it comes. You will laugh at violence and hunger, and you will not be afraid of wild animals. For you will be in the league with the stones of the field, and the animals of the field will be at peace with you. So, again, it's going into this whole thing with God, and just like what the title says, right? Like this whole idea that God is just, that he can't do wrong, that he would never do harm, right? So Job's friends, there ain't no help at all, right? Because his response was like, oh, if only my grief were actually weighed and laid in the balances together with my disaster. For then it would be heavier than the sand of the seas. For that reason, my words have been rash. So he still thinks, he said, my spirit drinks poison. The terrors of God line up against me. Does the wild donkey bray over his grass, or does the ox low over his feed? Can something tasteless be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the juice of an alkanet plant? My soul refuses to touch them. They are like loathsome food to me. Oh, that my request might come to pass, and that God would grant me my hope. Oh, that God would decide to crush me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. But it is still my comfort. Stand up, Job, and I rejoice in unsparing pain. He's still refusing to acknowledge this, and he's just waiting for God to save him. It really is, the Lord is into BDSM. It really is sad, and it really is, it's so sad that Job is going through all of this, and he's proving himself more and more. And he just continues to blame himself. And he really just wants God to end his life. The one thing that he told Satan he could not do, Job was down for, right? What do I have left? You took my children. You took my home. You took my livestock. My wife has left and cursed me. Like, you left me with nothing. But to sit here and wallow and have my friends come over and tell me how I must have done something wrong, never getting an answer as to what it is at this point. But yet he continues to have faith. He continues to lie in wait and wait for God to spare him from the pain that he's doing, to heal him, right? So I don't know, y'all. How do you read this and believe that 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 Job, like, that this God is all loving, that he loved Job at all, that he was willing to play his feelings out and to treat him as such, and to allow Satan to torture him so. This is exactly why I think the Christian God is evil. And I would love for anybody to let me know, you know what I mean? Am I wrong? Is that not evil? Job victim blamed by his homies. Absolutely. And it's like they're all gaslighting him, but they don't even know. I understand why his friends feel the way that they do. In their mind, that's the only thing that could make sense. They had no idea that it was just over the fact that, you know, a son that he loved more, because God loved Satan, Lucifer, morning star, right? He was one of the most beautiful of angels, if not the most beautiful angel, from what I remember, what I was taught, right? So Job's life seems futile, right? As a person not forced to labor on earth, and are his days not like the days of a hired worker? Again, with the slave business, as a slave pants for the shade, and as a hired worker who eagerly waits for his wages. So you see, there is a differentiation in slave and servant, and that's why I highlighted this in green, because it shows you, like, and I know we're not talking about slavery today, and that's fine, but I hear so much, oh, God was not okay with slavery. Oh, no, when he said slave, he meant servant. Well, here we have that a slave pants for the shade, and as a hired worker who eagerly awaits his wages. There's clearly a difference in these two roles. So anyways, he goes on to say, I am allotted worthless months, and nights of trouble are apportioned to me. When I lay down, I say, when shall I arise? But the night continues, and I am continually tossing until dawn. So he's in pain. He cannot sleep. My flesh is clothed with maggots and a crust of dirt. My skin hardens and oozes. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and they come to an end without hope. Remember that my life is a mere breath. My eye will not see goodness again. The eye of him who sees me will no longer look at me. Your eyes will be on me, but I will not exist. When a cloud vanishes, it is gone. In the same way, one who goes down to Sheol does not come up. He will not return to his house again, nor will his place know about him anymore. Therefore, I will not restrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or the sea monster that you set guard over me? If I say my couch will comfort me, my bed will ease my complaint, then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me by visions, so that my soul would choose suffocation, death, rather than my pains. Look at this. So he was having nightmares. It seems like fever dreams. Like he was not, at this time, he was not in any type of rest. Right? He's, again, just calling and waiting on death, like, please take my life. I would rather you take my life than to go through this. And God was silent. I waste away. I will not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are only a breath. What is man that you exalt him, and that you are considered about him, that you examine him every morning and put him to the test every moment? Will you never turn your gaze away from me, nor leave me alone until I swallow my spittle? Have I sinned? What have I done to you, watcher of mankind? Why have you made me your target, so that I am burdened to myself? Why then do you not forgive my wrongdoings and take away my guilt? For now I will lie in the dust, and you will search for me, but I will no longer exist. Again, just pleading, right? So another friend gaslights him and is like, bro, God rewards the good, right? So Bildad responds, And he says, how long will you say these things and the words of your mouth be a mighty wind? Does God pervert justice? Or does the Almighty pervert what is right? If your sons sinned against him, then he turned them over to the power of their wrongdoing. If you will search for God and implore the compassion of the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, surely now he will stir himself for you and restore your righteous estate. Though your beginning is insignificant, yet your end will increase greatly. Please inquire of past generations and consider the things searched out by their fathers. For we are only of yesterday and know nothing, because our days on earth are as a shadow. Will they not teach you and tell you and bring forward words from their minds? Again, he's just gaslighting him. He's pretty much telling him, listen, God rewards good. So if your sons were taken from you, they probably sinned. If all this is happening to you, you probably sinned. Restore your righteousness, Job. Learn the lesson from all this. Right, Job? You know God's confidence is fragile, which he says here, and his trust is a spider's web. Right? So are the passive for all who forgot God, and the hope of the godless will perish, right? So he depends on his house, but he does not stand. He holds on to it, but it does not endure. He goes on and pretty much telling Job to shut up. Like, Job, God wouldn't do this to you. God wouldn't allow you to have this happen to you, if this was not just. Those who hate you will be clothed with shame, and the tent of wicked will no longer exist. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with joyful shouting. So he's pretty saying, behold, God will. So from 20, he goes, behold, God will not reject a person of integrity, nor will he help evildoers. They're sitting there discussing this God like he would never do exactly what he is doing to Job, right? So I understand where his friends are coming from, right? Job says there is no arbitrator between God and mankind. So then Job responded and said, and in truth, I know that this is so. But how can a person be in the right with God? If one wished to dispute with him, he could not answer him once in 1,000 times. Wise in heart and mighty in strength, who has defied him without harm? It is God who removes the mountains, and they do not know how. When he overturns them, in his anger, it is he who shakes the earth from its place, and its pillars tremble. Who commands the sun not to shine and puts a seal on the stars? Who alone stretches out the heavens and tramples down the waves of the sea? Who makes the bear, Orion, and Pleiades, and the other constellations of the south? It is he who does great things, the unfathomable, and wondrous works without number. If he were to pass by me, I would not see him. Were he to move past me, I would not perceive him. If he were to snatch away, who could restrain him? Who could say to him, what are you doing? God will not turn back his anger. Beneath him the helpers of Rahab cower. How then can I answer him and choose my words before him? For though I were right, I could not answer. I would have to implore the mercy of my judge. If I called and he answered me, I could not believe that he was listening to my voice. For he bruises me with a storm and multiplies my wounds without cause. He will not allow me to get my breath, but he saturates me with bitterness. If it is a matter of power, behold, he is the strong one. And if it is the matter of justice, who can summon him? Though I am righteous, my mouth will condemn me. Though I am guiltless, he will declare me guilty. I am guiltless. I do not take notice of myself. I reject my life. It is all one, therefore, I say. He destroyed the guiltless and the wicked. If the whip kills suddenly, he mocks the despair of the innocent. The earth is handed over to the wicked. He covers the faces of judges. If it is not he, then who is it? Now my days are swifter than a runner. They flee away. They seem no good. They slip by like reed boats, like an eagle that swoops on its prey. Though I say, I will forget my complaint. I will put my face in order and be cheerful. I am afraid of all my pains. I know that you will not acquit me. I am guilty. Why then should I struggle in vain? If I washed myself with snow and cleansed my hands with lye, then you would plunge me into the pit, and my own clothes would loathe me. For he is not mad as I am, that I may answer him. So he goes on this whole tirade of really just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I've done wrong. I don't know how we got here. Yes, the story basically grooms you for abuse. That's literally what it was giving. And I don't know if you're right here. That's pretty much what I said in the beginning. I was just like, it gives like battered wife syndrome. You know what I mean? Like it grooms you to take abuse. Like, the more I can suffer, the more I can bear, the happier God will be with me. And I'm just trying to understand why all loving, all powerful God needs to abuse suffering in this way in order to prove a point, one, to Satan, who's nowhere near his equal. Like, and why would he do that to someone who's been so loving and so upright and did everything that he should? It's insane. I don't know. Job, to me, it's such a sad story. Look at him. He starts to despair of God's dealings. He said, I am disgusted with my own life. I will express my complaint freely. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Let me know why you contend with me. Is it right for you indeed to oppress, to reject the work of your hands, and to look favorably on the plan of the wicked? Do you have eyes of flesh, or do you see as mankind sees? Are your days like the days of mortal, or are your years like a man's year? That you should search for my guilt and carefully seek my sin? Oops. Where is it? Oops. My bad. According to your knowledge, I am indeed not guilty. Yet there is no one to save me from your hand. Your hands fashioned and made me altogether, yet you would destroy me? Remember that you have made me as clay, yet would you return me into dust again? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese, clothe me with skin and flesh, and intertwine me with bones and tendons? You have granted me life and goodness, and your care has guarded my spirit, yet you have concealed these things in your heart. I know that is within you. If I have sinned, you will take note of me, and will not acquit me of my guilt. If I am wicked, woe to me. But if I am righteous, I dare not lift up my head. I am full of shame and conscious in my misery. And should my head be so high, you would hunt me like a lion, and you would show your power against me. You renew your witness against me and increase your anger towards me. Hardship after hardship is with me. Why then did you bring me out of the womb? If only I had died and no eye had seen me, I should have been as though I had not been, brought from womb to tomb. Would he not leave my few days alone? Withdraw from me so that I may have a little cheerfulness? Before I go, and I shall not return, to the land of darkness and deep shadow, the land of utter gloom, like darkness itself, of deep shadow without order, and it shines like darkness. So I really started to feel bad for Job here. Like, so unnecessary. All he's trying to do is really understand. He's crying out to God, and God is not answering him, right? And the thing is, like, I know we're going to get to it, but the part where God gets mad, it's like, how are you mad? After months of suffering, him begging you to answer him, tell him what he did wrong so he can make the offering, so he can do the thing and make things right. And all he heard was silence. Crazy. So then Zophar rebukes Job. And he pretty much tells him, like, yo, like, you're wrong. You're wrong here. God wouldn't do this for no reason. I will not allow you to speak of God in this way. This is not how he operates. Right? And an idiot will become intelligent when a wild donkey is born a human, right? Like, he's pretty much, he's being condescending as fuck here. Right? And I didn't want to, like I said, I told you guys, there's like 40 chapters. I am going to do a deeper dive into it on my Patreon. Right? For those who don't know, I do have a Patreon where we do Bible study, we deconstruct patriarchy, and everything else. I'm actually going to take a quick little break. We've been here for almost an hour, and we'll come right back and jump in.
There's a place where mystery meets meaning, where black magic and divine truth awaken. Welcome to Blackberry Tingz, where we go beyond the surface and deep into sacred questions. Inside this sacred circle, we explore the roots of patriarchy, study sacred texts, and reclaim what was stolen. Join me for exclusive Bible studies, intimate book club lives, and the magic that just doesn't make the Sunday sermon. This is your invitation to walk with power, knowledge, and spirits. Join the Sister Circle on Patreon. Your empowerment begins within.
Yes, the tiers are open. We have Bible study. We have monthly book club. We're going to have movie or series nights. So many things going down. Check out the link in the bio and see if it's for you. Let's also continue though, because again, I'm not going to do too much. So Job responded to that little hater ass friend and said, "Truly then you are the people, and with you wisdom will die. But I have intelligence as well as you, and I am not inferior to you. And who does not know such things as these? I am a joke to my friends. The one who called on God and he answered him. The just and the blameless man is a joke. He who is at ease holds disaster in contempt and is prepared for those whose feet slip. The tents of the destroyers prosper, and those who provoke God are secure. Whom God brings into their power, just ask the animals and have them teach you, and the birds of the sky and have them tell you, or speak to the earth and have it teach you, and have the fish of the sea tell you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In whose hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind? Does the ear not put words to the test as the palate tastes its food? Wisdom is with the aged, and with long life comes understanding." Honestly, if I was Job, I would have told him to get the hell out. You're not going to sit here and blame me. I would not be trying to hear that. I have ooze. I have stuff coming out of me that I don't understand. I'm sitting here. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't do not damn thing. And you're here trying to tell me how this is my fault and what I got to do. And no matter what I do, I curse my life. I curse myself. I beg for death. It is not given to me. And he continues here, speaking to the power of the God. Stand up, Job. That's what I kept saying. I'm like, yo, you got to stand up. Like, honestly, it took him way too long. But anyways, wisdom and might are with him. Advice and understanding belong to him. Behold, he tears down and it cannot be rebuilt. He imprisons a person and there is no release. Behold, he restrains the waters and they dry up. And he sends them out and they inundate the earth. Strength and sound wisdom are with him. One who goes astray, one who leads astray belong to him. He makes advisors walk barefoot and makes fools of judges. He undoes the bindings of kings and ties a loincloth around their waist. He makes priests walk barefoot and overthrows the secure ones. He deprives the trusted ones of speech and take away the discernment of the elders. He pours contempt on nobles and loosens the belt of the strong. He reveals mysteries from the darkness and brings deep darkness into light. He makes nations great, then destroys them. He enlarges the nations, then leads them away. He deprives the leaders of the earth of the people's intelligence and makes them wander in pathless wasteland. They grope in darkness with no light, and he makes them stagger like a drunken person. Again, none of this is giving a God that is all-loving. With the way that he is describing God here in the power of God, all he's describing is all the ways God uses his power to abuse others. Yes, you may be imprisoned for something you did wrong, but even in the whole scheme of things, when you're reading the story of Job, it kind of nulls and voids it because Job did nothing. He did nothing to deserve any of this, and he had lost everything, left to be blistered and in pain. Right? So his friend pretty much tells him, like, Job, these proverbs are ashes, right? He's telling him, let's just read it. He said, behold, my eyes has seen all this. My ear has heard and understood it. He's like, listen, I've seen these things. I've heard these things before. I understand. What you know, I know. I am not inferior to you, but I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to argue with God. But you smear me with lies. You are all worthless physicians. Oh, that you would be completely silent, and it would become your wisdom. Please hear my arguments, and give your attention to the contentions of my lips. Will you speak what is unjust for God and speak what is deceitful for him? Will you show partiality for him? Will you contend for God? Will it go well when he examines you? Or will you deceive him as one deceives a man? He will certainly punish you if you are secretly show partiality. So he's basically saying, like, you can say what you want and do what you want, but the proof is in the pudding. Look how you are suffering. You did something, right? You think that you can deceive him like you deceive us? Right? He will certainly punish you if you secretly show impartiality. Will his majesty not terrify you, and the dread of him fall upon you? Your memorable sayings are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Pretty much everything you're saying ain't shit. That ain't gonna do shit. It ain't gonna be about shit. But Job is sure that he'll be vindicated, right? Pretty much told him shut up. He said, be silent before me that I may speak. Then let come upon me what may. Okay, so Job is in pain, and again, his friends are just, I just know, if I was in pain like that, and my friends were surrounding me and just talking pure shit about how they think that I deserve it, or why I deserve it, or what I must have done to deserve whatever it is I'm going through, I'd be telling them to shut the hell up too. So he said, be silent before me so that I may speak. Then let come upon me what may. Pretty much like, let me say what I have to say, and whatever happens, happens. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands? Though he slay me, I will hope in him. Nevertheless, I will argue my ways before him. This also will be my salvation. For a godless person cannot come before his presence. Listen carefully to my speech and let my declaration fill your ears. Behold now, I have prepared my case. I know that I will be vindicated. Who could contend with me? For then I would be silent and die. Only two things that I ask that you do not do to me. Then I will not hide from your face. Remove your hand from me, and may the dread of you not terrify me. Then call and I will answer, or let me speak, then reply to me. How many are my guilty deeds and sins? Make known to me my wrongdoing and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemies? Again, he's begging God. Right? Will you scare away a scattered leaf, or will you pursue the dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me and make me inherit the guilty deeds of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks and watch all my paths. You set a limit to my soles on my feet, while I am decaying like a rotten thing, like a garment that is moth eaten. Right? So I don't get it. I definitely would have cursed out God by now. I would have, and if it resulted in my death, like how he felt, so let it be. Right? So Job speaks on the finality here of death. Man who is born of woman is short-lived and full of turmoil. Like a flower, he comes out and withers. He also flees like a shadow and does not remain. You also open your eyes on him and bring him to judgment with yourself. Who can make the clean out of the unclean? No one. Since his days are determined, the number of his months is with you, and you have set his limits so that he cannot pass. Look away from him so that he may rest, until he fulfills his day like a hired worker. For there is hope for a tree when it is cut down, that it will sprout again, and its shoots will not fail. Though its roots grow old in the ground and its stump dies in the dry soil, at the scent of the water it will flourish and produce springs like a plant. But a man dies and lies prostrate. A person passes away, and where is he? As water evaporates from the sea and a river becomes parched and dried up, so a man lies down and does not rise. Until the heavens no longer exist, he will not awake nor be woken from his sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath returns to you, that you would set a limit for me and remember me. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my struggle I will wait. Until my relief comes, I will call and I will answer you. You will long for the work of your hands. For now your number are my steps. You do not observe my sin. My wrongdoing is sealed up in a bag, and you cover over my guilt. But the failing mountain crumbles away, and the rocks move from its place. Waters wears away the stone. Its torrents wash away the dust of the earth. Blah, blah, blah. However, his body pains him, and his soul mourns for himself. He's still up this God's ass. It's crazy to me. And I couldn't imagine putting anyone that I love in any of this. Right? Because that's the purpose of this series. You know, the Christian God is evil. It's to show and present how God really isn't who they tell you he is at the pulpit. He just isn't. How is this love? Why would an all-knowing God, right? He knows the past, present, and future, need to put a man through this to prove anything to anyone. It's very sad to me. Like I never realized how sad this story actually was. God put Job on hold because there's no customer service. That's what it seems like, for sure. Like, put him on hold. He's listening to that music, just waiting, and God's busy. So Alphazaz tells Job that he's presuming too much. You know, again, they're just really going back and forth. I don't think there's anything in this chapter that stood out to me in regards to his response. He's pretty much just telling Job, you know, listen, like, you're presuming too much. Like, you think you know, but you don't understand God. Just like a lot of Christians tell us when we ask them about why God, this all-loving God, allows things to happen to children, whether it's a Pedialyte takes advantage of them, or it's the fact that they are starving to death, right? Look at how many children pass away every day from starvation and things like that. And Christians will be like, oh, you presume too much, you do too much, you know, you think that you know God, but you don't understand his will. But you cannot correlate how a loving God would need to see any of these things happen. So Job gets into his friends and he's just like, y'all are miserable comforters, right? And he responded to him and he's like, I've heard many things like these. Miserable comforters are you all. Is there no end to windy words, or what provokes you that you answer? I too could speak like you. If only I were in your place. I could compose words against you and shake my head at you. Or I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the condolence of my lips would lessen your pain. Just basically saying, like, you guys aren't making me feel better. Like, why are you here? Oh, my light's dying. Yeah. Right? Like, why are you guys here if you're just here to make me feel worse? You know, I could do that to you guys too, but I wouldn't it be better to comfort me? And then he goes into how God shattered him, right? He's like, if I speak, my pain is not lessened. And if I refrain, what pain leaves me? Basically, like, whether I talk or don't talk, I'm still in this position. But now he has exhausted me. You have laid waste all my group of loved ones, and you have shriveled me up. It has become a witness, and my infirmity rises up against me. It testifies to my face. His anger has torn me and hunted me down. He has gnashed me with his teeth. His enemy glares at me. They have gaped at me with their mouths. They have slapped me on the cheek with contempt. They have massed themselves against me. God hands me over to criminals and tosses me into the hands of the wicked. So he's going into how the back and forth of it all, right? My friends are scoffers. My eye weeps to God, that one might plead for a man with God as a son of man with his neighbor. For when a few years are past, I shall go the way of no return. So then Job, again, this is where he really starts to really feel bad about himself, right? He starts to even consider himself to be like a proverb. My spirit is broken. My days are extinguished. The grave is ready for me. Mockers are certainly with me, and my eye gazes upon their provocation. Make a pledge for me with yourself. Who is there that will be my grantor? for you have kept their hearts away from understanding. Therefore you will not exalt them. He who informs against friends for a share of the spoils, the eyes of his children will also will perish. But he has made me a proverb among the people, and I am one at whom people spit. My eye has also become inexpressive because of grief, and all my body parts are like a shadow. The upright will be appalled at this, and the innocent will stir himself against the godless. Nevertheless, the righteous will hold to his way, and the one who has clean hands will grow stronger and stronger. But come again, all of you now, for I do not find a wise man among you. Pretty much saying none of you are wise. None of you are wise. But tell me more. Tell me how you think this could get worse or better for me, or what you think I might do, is what he's saying. You know? I find one wise man amongst you. Nothing you've said has made things better for me. My days are past. My plans are torn apart. The wishes of my heart. They make night into day, saying the light is near in the present darkness. If I hope for Sheol as my home, I make my bed in the darkness. If I call to the grave, you are my father. To the maggot, my mother and my sister. Where then is my hope? And who looks at my hope? Will it go down with me to Sheol? Shall we together go down into the dust? So then Bildad has a lot to say about the wicked. Again, they're really just arguing back and forth this whole time. Like, I don't want to get too much into it, and I forgot to bookmark where I was, right? But here's where, like, because his friend, he insulted him. He felt insulted, as he should, right? And he's like, at this point, again, he's sick of them. He's like, how long will you torment me and crush me with words? These 10 times you have insulted me, you are not ashamed to wrong me? Even if I have truly done wrong, my error stays with me. If indeed you exalt yourselves against me and prove my disgrace to me, know then that God has wronged me and has surrounded me with his net. Right? Behold, I cry violence, but I get no anger. I shout for help, but there is no justice. He has blocked my way so that I cannot pass, and he has put darkness on my paths. He has stripped my honor from me and removed the crown from my head. He breaks me down on either side, and I am gone, and he has uprooted my hope like a tree. He also kindled his finger against me and considered me as his enemy. His troops come together and build up their way against me and camp around my tent. He has removed my brothers far from me, and my acquaintances have completely turned away from me. My relatives have failed, and my close friends have forgotten me. Those who live in my house and my servant women considered me a stranger. I am a foreigner in their sight. I call to my servant, but he does not answer. I have to implore his favor with my mouth. My breath is offensive to my wife, and I am loathsome to my own brothers. Even young children despise me. I stand up and they speak against me. All my associates loathe me, and those I love have turned against me. My bone clings to my skin and my flesh, and I have escaped only by the skin of my teeth. Pity me, you friends of mine, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you persecute me as God does? And are you not satisfied with my flesh? Pretty much like, why are you all here talking over me, talking about all the things that I should or should not be doing, or I could not been done? I think we all can kind of get with that. And a lot of people are like know-it-allism. They feel like they know better than you. They feel like they could tell you better than you can show them, just because they think that they know what's going on with you, right? But here he goes again. I know my Redeemer lives. That's where this song came from, right? So he goes, all that my words were written, all that they were recorded in a book. With an iron stylus and a lead, they were engraved in the rock forever. Yet as for me, I know my Redeemer lives. And at last he will take a stand on the earth. Even after my skin is destroyed, yet from my flesh I will see God, whom I on my part shall behold for myself, and whom my eyes will see and no another. My heart faints within me. If you say, how shall we persecute him? In the pretext of the case against him we can find, then be afraid of the sword yourselves, for wrath brings punishment of the sword, so that you may know there is judgment. So Far says, again, his friends are there, rejoicing of the wicked is short, right? Pretty much telling him that his thoughts make him respond. Like the response that Job gave them is irritating to him, right? Because it says here that he's agitated. He's like, I listen to the reprimand which insults me, and the spirit of my understanding makes me answer. Do you know this is from ancient times, from the establishment of mankind and earth, that the rejoicing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the godless momentary? Right? So he's pretty much saying, like, you are blaming God, but you have no right to do so, right? You may not know what you have done, but yet you must have done something, Job. It's been months and you're still like this, Job. What is going on? And I know that they're trying to be helpful, but it's not. So Job said that God will deal with the wicked. Again, they're going back and forth about what God will do, who he is, why is this happening to Job, what could Job do, what he must do, what he must contend with. It's almost like, think, Job, what did you do to deserve this? Right? See, look, Eliphaz accuses and exhorts Job. Like, he tells him, can a strong man be of use of God, or a wise one be useful to himself? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty if you are righteous, or gain if you make your ways blameless? Is it because of your reverence that he punishes you, that he enters into judgment against you? Is your wickedness not abundant, and there is no end to your guilty deeds? For you have seized pledges from your brothers without cause, and stripped people naked. You have given the weary no water to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. But the earth belongs to the powerful man, and the one whose honorable dwells on it. But here's the thing. I thought that Job did do all those things. So it's almost like, and is the expectation from Job's friends that Job get up with all his sores and boils and continue to, I don't know, give offerings? Like, what is he supposed to do in this? He can't stand, he can't eat, he can't sleep, but yet they're still telling him that this is his fault, that he must have done something, right? And that his prayers, he just needs to keep praying, which I'm sure we've all heard, right? So even in Job 23, he still longs for God. He responds and says, even today my complaint is rebellion. His hand is heavy despite my groaning. Oh, that I know how to find him, that I might come to his home. I would present my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would learn the words which he would answer and perceive that he would tell me. Would he contend with me by the greatness of his power? No, surely he would pay attention to me. There the upright would argue with him, and I would be free of my judge forever. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. When he acts on the left, I cannot see him. He turns to the right, I cannot see him, but he knows the way I take. This is such a sad story. I'm sorry. It is God who has made my heart faint, and the Almighty who has terrified me, but I am not destroyed by darkness, nor by deep gloom which covers me. So this is when he starts to kind of like get into it about God. He starts to feel like, okay, you know what? He ignores wrongs. He's probably like, he goes over to talk about how all the things that they seized, how they pushed the needy in the road, and how there's other people out there that pretty much that are doing much worse than he did. Right? He talks about the city, the people. He talks about the treatment of animals. Right? They say they do not know its ways, nor its days in its past. The murderer arises at dawn. He kills the poor and the needy, and at night he is like a thief. Right? So he's just like, look at all these people who are doing more wickedness than me. And here I am suffering, and I don't even know what I did wrong. I don't even know how I got here. I don't understand. I keep crying out to God, and he does not answer me. Right? So, again, I ask you, is this an all-loving God? Right? And like I said, the lad comes back with mankind is inferior, and Job rebukes him. right? He rebukes him and tells him again of the greatness of God. They're even starting to turn on him, like, listen, like, this God is clearly no longer for you. And Job still speaks on the greatness of him, right? What help are you to the weak? You have saved the arm without strength. What advice you have given to one without wisdom? What helpful insights you have abundantly provided? To whom have you uttered words? And whose spirit has expressed through you, right? I don't get it. And then he affirms his righteousness. He affirms his righteousness and how he feels like his God is still this righteous God that is simply perhaps maybe testing him. Maybe he's watching his favorite TV show and he just hasn't gotten back to me yet. This guy got ghosted. You know, he tells of earth's treasures. He starts to even reminisce about the things that he had. Starts to talk about others and how they do. It's so funny because they say crystals aren't in the Bible, but gold, iron, copper. Look at this. Sapphires. Anyways. And then he goes into how the search for wisdom is harder. So he's in search for wisdom. He's in search for strength. Although God's not providing it to him and he cannot find it, he still believes that God is going to come forward and I guess help him out of this, right? So he then goes on to talk about his past, how it was glorious, right? Oh, that I were as in a month's gone by, as in the days when God watched over me. He's longing for those days when his lamp shone over my head and by his light I walked through darkness, just as I did in the days of my youth when the protection of God was over my tent. When the Almighty was still with me and my children were around me, when my steps were bathed in cream and the rock poured out streams of oil for me. When I went out to the gate of the city, when I took my seat in the public square, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the old men arose and stood. So he's really just reminiscing about the past and just, again, this is just sad. Like, this is a sad ass story. It's not what people have presented it to me to be in my childhood at all. But I think just as we were saying in the comments, like, this is like a perfect story to give to someone if you want them to be set up to take abuse, endless suffering, waiting for the relief to come and being grateful for the grace, even though the reason why you're hurting you is the reason, you know, it's hard to, when someone, it's like me hurting someone. And then, like, if I unalive someone and then brought them back to life, would it change the fact that I unalived them in the first place? You know what I mean? And then Job's present state, so he talks about how humiliated he is, right? But now those who are younger than I mock me, whose fathers I refuse to put with the dogs of my flock. Indeed, what good was the strength of their hands to me? Vigor had perished from them. And now I have become their taunt, and I have become a byword to them. They loathe me and stand aloof from me, and they do not refrain from spitting in my face, because he has undone my bowstring and afflicted me. They have cast off the bridle before me. Right? So he's talking about how everything around him has changed because his status has obviously changed. He's now not the rich guy that lived on the hill with everything that anybody would ever want. Right? He's no longer the blessed, and people are treating them as such. It's funny because a lot of these people he was probably good to, because from what we heard in the beginning, he was very helpful, was very kind. It was one of the reasons why God loved him and why he blessed him. So Job is still asserting his integrity here. He, again, is still trying to figure out why this is happening to him. And then it goes on into 31, and Elihu rebukes him in anger at that. Like, he gets angry with him because Job is still pretty much claiming, I'm innocent. I don't deserve this. I did nothing to deserve this. When am I going to get this reprieve from all of this this harshness that I'm going through. And his friend is like, then these three men stopped answering Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. But the anger of Elihu, the son of Barachel, and the Buzite of a family ram burned against Job. His anger burned because he justified himself before God. And his anger burned against his three friends because they had found no answer, yet they had condemned Job. So they were pretty much just standing around him, judging him, again, asking and pleading with him to somehow repent for something that he doesn't know what he did. He swears up and down he did not do anything, which he didn't. Elihu is the youngest of the bunch, right? So he waited to speak, especially because he was amongst his elders. But when he spoke, he said, I am young in years and you are old. Therefore, I was shy and afraid to tell you what I think. I thought age should speak and increased years should teach wisdom. But it is a spirit that is in mankind, and the breath of the Almighty gives them understanding. The abundant in years may not be wise, nor may elders understand justice. So I say, listen to me. I too will tell what I think. So this young man says, behold, I waited for your words. I listened to your skillful speech while you pondered what to say. I also paid close attention to you, but indeed there was no one who refuted Job, not one of you who answered his words. So do not say, we have found wisdom. God will defeat him, not man. But he has not presented his words against me, nor will I reply to him with your arguments. They are dismayed. They no longer answer. Words have failed them. Should I wait because they are not speaking? Because they have stopped and no longer answer? I too will give my share of answers. I also will tell my opinion, for I am full of words. The spirit within me compels me. They preach a lot. Like they'd be preaching inside the preacher. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's going on and on. Just get to the point. Behold my belly. Like, just get to it, boy. So he says, I do not know how to flatter. Otherwise, my maker would quickly take me away. So he basically telling them, like, I've been sitting here and y'all been talking ish about God. So now I'm going to speak for God. I'm going to tell you what I think. So he says, however, please hear my speech, Job, and listen to all my words. Behold, now I open my mouth, my tongue, and my mouth speaks. My words are from the integrity of my heart, and my lips speak knowledge sincerely. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Sorry, I didn't say it like that. Refute me if you can. Line up against me. Take your stand. Behold, I belong to God like you. I too have been formed from the clay. Behold, no fear of me should terrify you, nor should my pressure weigh heavily on you. You have in fact spoken while I listened, and I heard the sound of your words. I am pure without wrongdoing. I am innocent, and there is no guilt in me. Behold, he invents criticisms against me, and he counts me as his enemy. So he continues on to speak for God that is greater than mankind, and speaking up for this God, basically, right? He's saying, so he said, then he opens his ears to the people and horrifies them with warnings so that he may turn a person away from bad conduct and keep man from pride. He's basically just filibustering around, getting to the point that his God would not do things the way that pretty much is being done to him, right? Behold, God does all these things for a man 2 or 3 times to bring back his soul from the pit so that he may be enlightened with the light of life. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Keep silent and let me speak. Then if you have anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I would take pleasure in justifying you. If not, listen to me. Keep silent and I will teach you wisdom. So this young man has pretty much stood up and be like, hey, listen, I know that I know better than you. I'm going to speak now. I've heard you guys cry, scream, all that stuff. I'm going to tell you what I think, right? And he vindicates God's justice. Right? He continued and said, hear my words, you wise men, and listen to me, you who understand. For the ear tests words as the palate tastes food. Let us choose for ourselves what is right. Let us understand among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, but God has taken away my rights. Should I lie about my rights? My wound is incurable, though I am without wrongdoing. What man is like Job, who drinks up derision like water, who goes in the company of workers of injustice and walks with the wicked people. For he said, It is of no use to a man when he becomes friends with God. Therefore, listen to me, you men of understanding. Far be it for God to do evil, and for the Almighty to do wrong. For he repays the person for his work unless things happen. Again, making excuses for God's behavior, even though none of this is true in this instance with Job. Again, can't blame them. They are simply seeing, because that's usually the result. That's how usually things went down. Right? You did something wrong and you didn't repent, God would take from you. I don't know how they're not getting this. And that's why I say I would have kicked them out. If I was Job, I would have kicked them out a long time. You're not going to sit in my face and talk shit to me about the situation that I'm in. And I'm telling you, I didn't do anything wrong. Right? And I wonder if, and I guess we'll find out because we're getting back into it. Again, at least he's still going off on Job, right? He rebukes him, right? So he said, do you think that this is in accordance with justice? Do you say my righteousness is more than God's? For you say, what advantage will it be to you? What benefit will I have more than if I had sinned? I will answer you, and your friends with you. Look at the heavens and see, and look at the clouds. They are higher than you. If you have sinned, what do you accomplish against him? And if your wrongdoings are many, what do you do to him? If you are righteous, what do you give to him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness is for a man like yourself, and your righteousness is for a son of man. Because of the multitude of oppressions, they cry out. They cry for help because of the arm of the mighty. But no one says, where is God my maker, who gives songs in the night, who teaches us more than the animals of the earth and makes us wiser than the birds in the sky? There they cry out, but he does not answer because of the pride of evil people. So he's continuing to go down this whole thing with Job and pretty much telling him that if he did wrong, he needs to fess up, right? And now because he has not avenged his anger, nor has he acknowledged wrongdoing well, so Job opens his mouth with empty words. He multiplies words without knowledge. So again, just the back and forth of it all. Like, these are supposed to be his friends. I don't know. I wouldn't have sat here and done all this back and forth while I was in this much pain, but I guess he has no choice. And also, when I come to think of it, like, he's probably fairly lonely. Look at the way he described how people was treating him. This wasn't just about the sores on his body and the removal of the friends and family and the death of so many people around him. This was really about how God really turned away from him for like no reason at all. Like, it's mind-boggling to me, and I don't understand how this story is presented. And it's one of the children's stories. I'm sorry, I'm like, my mind's moving like faster than my mouth. My mind is moving faster than my mouth because he does not withdraw his eyes, but kings enthroned, he has seated them forever. I don't know. I couldn't contend with all this. Again, I know that he was probably lonely. Again, everything that was done to him and everything that he lost, but other people as well during his back, which we see. I'm sure any of us could remember a time, maybe depending on how old you are, that there was a time where people turned against you. People weren't for you. Maybe you did something wrong, or maybe you did really make a mistake, or maybe they did. Maybe you were blamed, wrongfully accused. I'm not sure, but I feel like we can all contend with this when people think that they know better than us about how to deal with a situation, how to move through a problem. A lot of times they aren't being helpful, but they're being condescending and judgmental. I mean, these are the times where you see who your true friends are. Job was surrounded by it was 3 friends? And that's all he had. So I guess maybe that's why he put himself in this space. So we're almost towards the end finally, right? Because it's about 40-something chapters. I'm at 37. Like I said, so now God speaks to Job, finally. So Job spoke to God. Let me just make sure. What did he say to him exactly? So now, after all these months of Job holding on, not speaking ill of God, not trying to deceive him, His friends are telling him, oh no, it's not there. Okay. And then finally, God comes. He speaks. Then the Lord answered Job from the whirlwind and said, who is this who darkens the divine plan by words without knowledge? Now tighten the belt on your waist like a man, and I shall ask you, and you inform me. He came in hot for someone who destroyed his life for no reason at all. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who set its measurements, since you know, or who stretched the measuring line over it, on what were its bases sunk, or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy, or who enclosed the sea with doors? When it came out, when it out from the womb bursting forth, when I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling bands, and I placed boundaries on it, and set a bolt and doors. And I said, as far as this point you shall come, but no further. And here your word paved shall drop. So then he starts showing off his mighty power, right? Have you ever in your life commanded the morning and made the dawn know its place, so that it would take hold of the ends of the earth and the wicked would be shaken off from it? It is chained like clay under the seal, and they stand out like a garment. Their light is withheld from the wicked, and the uplifted arm is broken. Have you entered the springs of the sea and walked in the depths of the ocean? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? And have you seen the gates of deep darkness? He's gaslighting the shit out of Job. But have you entered the springs of the sea and walked in the depths of the ocean? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Yeah. He's been sitting in suffering. If that's not being at the gates of death, then what would be, other than what was described that was done to Job? Have you understood the expanse of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. Where is the way of the dwelling of the light and the darkness? Where is its place, that you would take it to its territory and discern the paths to its home? You know you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, and have you seen the storehouses of hail? Have I reserved for a time of distress, for a day of war and battle? Where is the way of the light is divided, and the east wind scattered on the earth? Who has split open a channel for the flood, and a way for the thunderbolt, to bring rain on a land without people, on a desert without a person in it, to satisfy the waste and desolate land, and to make the seeds of grass to sprout? Does the rain have a father, or who has fathered the drops of dew? From whose womb has come the ice, and the frost of heaven, who has given it? From whose womb has come ice? It's almost like God is a woman, because men don't have wombs. Sorry, y'all, I forgot to. Yes. Right? Because he's asking all these questions like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Why don't you show me? Like, I'm baffled, right? But that womb part right here, very interesting. Sounding like God is a woman, because what womb does God have? Nobody asked for any of that, sir. You did that and thought it was all good all by yourself. For real. That's how you know the story itself is a fantasy. Everyone on this earth are evil. Now you say God is evil. What are you thinking? Are you thinking how he gave us life, or how he chooses to make this world out of love? You sit there and go, you literally, you know what's funny? You sat here and waited 20 minutes to come and talk to me and tell me about what you thought about what I'm saying. I think that's super funny, because that's how I have it set up. And yes, your God is evil. And I'm proving it. You can watch the other videos too. And I'm going to keep proving it, because your God is friggin' evil. The way he treated Job, absolutely evil. Water becomes hard like stone, and the surface of the deep is imprisoned, right? So he goes on and he goes about the constellations, and, a guide to bear with the satellites. Can you bring out a constellation in its season and guide the bear with her satellites? I'm going to have to come back to this. Do you know the ordinance of heavens? Can you raise your voice to the clouds? Can you send the flashes of lightning? I'm just going through, because he's long-winded. He's going through everything that he's done and did and created, and asking Job, like, you think you can talk to me? Right? He speaks of the nature and its beings. I've been going on so long, I don't feel like reading all of this, but you can if you want to, right? Because he's pretty much just tooting his own horn the whole time about how good of a God he is, how great he is, and how dare Job question him at all. It's like he was eavesdropping in and was like, okay, now I've had enough. You've been talking shit for months, even though he really wasn't. He wasn't talking shit for months. He was actually just seeking understanding, asking for grace, asking for mercy. And it's not like God said, don't worry, hold out. Psst, don't worry, hold out. I got you. I'm about to win this bet with Satan. Just survive a little bit longer, Job. No, you left him alone without any answers. So then the Lord said to Job, will the fault finder contend with the Almighty? Let him who rebukes God give an answer. Right? So he's pretty much saying, let the one who rebuked me give an answer. Talk up, Job. Speak up, bro. You have some shit to say? Then he answered the Lord and said, behold, I am insignificant. What can I say in response to you? I put my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once and I will not reply, or twice, and I will add nothing more. So then God starts to question Job, right? He answered him from the whirlwind and said, because he came up like a tornado and started fucking up. Just because after months, he finally, said a little something to you that you didn't like? So the Lord answered Job from the whirlwind and said, now tighten the belt on your waist like a man. Damn. He said, yo, strap those boots up, boy. Get up and be a man. I will ask you and you instruct me. Will you really nullify my judgment? Will you condemn me so that you may be justified? Or do you have an arm like God? And can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with pride and dignity and clothe yourself with honor and majesty. Let out your outbursts of anger and look at everyone who is arrogant and humble him. Look at everyone who is arrogant and humble him. Oops, wait. Oh, he said it twice. Okay. And trample down the wicked where they stand. Hide them together in the dust. Imprison them in the hidden place. Then I will also confess to you that your own right hand can save you. So then he starts showing his power in the creatures. I don't want to go into all that. He's tooting his own horn, pretty much saying, how dare you, Job, question me? How dare you speak out to me and question me as to why I do anything? Even though we read in the beginning that Job did nothing. An all-loving, all-powerful God cannot conceive the fact that he's being questioned when he's punishing someone without any cause. Right? So then they talk about, again, dragging out. He's showing his power. He's long-winded, y'all. He's really just here to toot his horn and talk about how he's the best thing since sliced bread and that Job better shut the hell up when he's talking to him. Right? He's just talking about, look at everything I did, this world that I created for you. And then Job confessed and then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things. He's still humble in all this. And no plan is impossible for you. Who is this who conceals advice without knowledge? Therefore I have declared which I did not understand, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. Please listen and I will speak. I will ask you and you instruct me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I retract and I repent, sitting on dust and ashes. So then God gets displeased with Job's friends. Came about after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, that the Lord said to Eliphaz Temanite, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends, because you have not spoken of me what is trustworthy, as my servant Job had. So first he curses out Job for finally breaking, and then he turns to the friends who were simply trying to help Job figure out, what did you do? What went wrong? And then gets mad at them for trying to help him figure it out. So he punishes them. And to me, that's insane. Now, therefore, take your 7 bulls. Hold on. Now therefore take yourselves 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up a burnt offering for yourselves, and my servant Job will pray for you, for I will accept him, so as not to do with you as your foolishness deserves, because you have not spoken of me what is trustworthy. My servant Job has. So he even says, like, Job did what he was supposed to do. He came through. That's crazy. Wow. So he goes, God restores Job's fortunes. The Lord also restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends, and the Lord increased double all that Job had. Then all his brothers, all his sisters, and all who had known before him came to him, and they ate bread with him in his house. They would not be allowed in my house. They abandoned me, and now they want to come back now that everything's good. And they sympathize with him and comfort him for all the adversity of the Lord. Where were they when he was actually going through this? This is insane. And each one gave him a piece of money, and each a ring of gold. And the Lord blessed the later days of Job more than his beginnings. And he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of almond, 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, so he just replaced his kids. Right? He named the first Jemiah, the second Keziah, and the third Karen Hapuk. In all the land, no woman were found as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them inheritances among their brother. I mean, he had plenty. Well, I guess no, because he got everything. I was going to say he had plenty of since the others passed, but that was all taken away from him. So after this, Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and grandsons 4 generations, and Job died an old man and full of days. And then we're in Psalms. So, y'all, what do you think about this? Because I think that's a load of bullshit. Full stop. That has to be the saddest story I've ever read. And the gaslighting was top tier. Top tier. In the Bible, and you go through it finding where God is mean. And stern because he is a father when your kid did your dad. Why are you comparing God to human? You're saying when I was a kid, my dad wasn't an all-powerful God. My dad wasn't an all-powerful God. I don't understand why you guys say God's so much better than humans, but then you keep bringing him down to human levels to act like he's not wrong. I'm not an all-powerful God. I'm a mother. I'm not an all-powerful God. I'm not on the same level as you put this God. I'm not all-knowing. I'm not supposed to be I'm not all loving because I'm a flawed human being. So what are you talking about? He loves us so much. We should be burning, but he sent his son to die. Why? Who sends their own kid to pass away? Let's get this straight. God created the world, created man, knowing everything that was going to happen. Right? That's what you guys say. He's all knowing. He knew. So then he says to himself, you know what? I know how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to birth myself. I'm going to impregnate a child, because Mary was a flowering age. She could have been anywhere from 12 to 16. I'm going to impregnate a child. I'm going to come into the world, unalive myself for the world, and then continue to punish them after the unalivement. The joke is that if you read this book, you will see that Jesus didn't even come to save the world. He came to save the Israelites. Right? Like, that's standard. I'm not taking things out of the context. You guys take things out of context. You've been taught wrong. You've never read this book for yourselves, not for a full understanding and not with an open mind to actually see and read what it is that you're reading. Jesus was a Jew. He came for the Jews. He came for the lost sheep of Israel. His words, not you. He doesn't love you. And if he gives free will, then how does he know everything? Can I make God wrong? God is petty, sassy, zesty motherfucker. Exactly. He is. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he is a father. So what does that have to do with anything? He's a father that has an all-powerful God. You're comparing a father who is human, who is flawed, and putting him on the same level as your all-powerful God, acting like they have the same choices in regards to how to deal with their children. And they don't. At all, whatsoever. They're not on the same level. So I don't know why you waited 20 minutes to talk that foolishness. I was hoping it would keep some of you away, but clearly not, because he loves us and Jesus, God's name, came to save us, and we're bared to sin and died. You're just regurgitating things you heard at the pulpit. There's no love in anything that I read that he did to Job. And Jesus dying for the sins of Israel is crazy. On top of that, like I said, he did not come to save the world. If you read the book, Jesus didn't come to save the world. He came to save the lost sheep of Israel. He also didn't complete any of the acts that the Messiah would have completed, which is why the Jews didn't believe that he was the Messiah, because he didn't do what the prophecy said the Messiah would do. But that's another topic. Right now, I'm criticizing the God of the Bible. I think that he's evil. I read the Bible in the places that he does evil acts that show that he's evil. Just because he's God does not mean that what he did was not evil. He did not die for everyone. Again, you're regurgitating pulpit views. I've been studying and reading along with and listening to theologists, religious scholars, right? Did you know that of the many people who go and learn to become a pastor and a priest or anything like that, for every one person that enters, 6 people leave an atheist when they learn the true theology. Like, it does not make sense. So much so that six of them every year leave an atheist. You do not know this book. You only know what you've been told and what's been indoctrinated into you, which is what I am now deconstructing from. So I get where you're coming from. I understand that you waited 20 minutes just to say all this, but it's all moot. It's bullshit. It's not true. It's not true. Okay? So, I mean, you guys come up in here like you know everything, like...
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch. Your thoughts ain't my thoughts. Bitch, I'm flowing straight from the survival scroll. Cut that bitch off. Next caller.
Do you guys remember that pastor from back in the day? I know you saw how old that clip looked. I'm teaching straight from the survival scrolls. These thoughts ain't my thoughts. They have this one too. Hold on.
You find it funny? You find it funny? Huh? Wait, you ain't talk, you ain't hear me, huh? Get it again. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. I come in the name of Jesus. Repeat it after me, bitch. I come in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit. God Almighty, you know, rule of heaven and earth and every goddamn thing in between. You understand me now?
You fix your lips to pray for me, and I swear to Lucifer, I will pray to him for you. Don't pray for me at all. Don't fix your lips to pray for me. I will pray for you. I will reverse the curse. Don't ever fix your mouth to make your God go against my free will to not worship him. Okay? You have 2 brain cells competing with 3rd place, and you believe anything that he is eating you up, okay? He's down there eating you up. But y'all come in here, seriously, do not pray for me. Or I swear to Lucifer, I'll pray for you. And I'll pray in Lucifer's name. Okay, I know you don't want me doing that to you. So don't do it to me. I cannot stand when people say they're going to pray for me, y'all. I really hate it. Like, don't do that. And the thing is, it's so like, I thought I had free will. You just said that. You said I had free will. So I have the free will not to believe in your God. Why are you imposing your God on me with your prayers, trying to change the free will? Your God knew who I was. You guys said that, right? He knows me from before I was born. So he knew that at this age and at this stage that this is how I would feel about him, and he created me anyways. Explain that one, bitch. Explain that one. I love how Missy J came out laughing for that last part. It's just been me and Power Gazelle and Demetria. But that shit is funny. It is funny as hell, right? Anyways, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's sermon. on why I believe the Christian God is evil, right? I feel that how he did Job was mean. It shows that he's not all loving. It shows that he's not all knowing, because he had to test Job. Like, why do you need to test someone when you already know where they'll turn up and how they'll do on the test? You knew that he wouldn't. So you didn't need to send Satan to do all of that to him, you know? So the Christian God is evil in my mind. You can feel how you feel about it, but it is what it is. I'm going to let y'all go. I want to thank you. Please remember to like the video, share, comment, subscribe if you already haven't. Click that notification bell. Okay, let me do one last thing. Let me actually do one last thing.
Hey, you guys. It's your girl, Dina Patrice, a.k.a. The Black Fairy. And this is just a quick reminder to please like, share, comment, okay? Subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any lives or new videos that I'm posting, and I promise to be posting more than ever now. And that is just a free way to help support me and support this channel, and it costs you nothing, okay? So without further ado, this quick reminder is now over. Thank you for watching.
I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Next week, we will choose what our topic will be for our Sunday revival, The Christian God is Evil. And I don't know, maybe we could do Noah. Maybe we could do Noah's Ark. Jonah is a really good one, since Mr. Man brought up free will. We'll talk about how God doesn't give free will, because he totally did not let Jonah make his own decisions. Jonah did not want to go to that city, and he sent a whole whale to swallow him up and put him where he did not want to go. So why didn't God respect Jonah's free will if we have it? Or do we only have it sometimes? Anyways, thank you. I can't wait to see y'all. I have more coming. I went live unexpectedly earlier this morning, and I'll be going live tomorrow to hopefully complete that video. Those who know. It was Candace Owens against 20 feminist women. It was another feature example of why we can't trust Christian women in regards to women empowerment. I hope that you guys tune in. If you didn't watch it, you could catch it and then catch up with us tomorrow to finish it off. I love you. I believe in you. You've got this. Stay deconstructing. Stay safe. And we will talk soon, y'all. I'm super excited. I have so much going on and so much more to tell you. So much is coming.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.